like a lot of the medications that they want to give you. I just don't like the way they make you feel, the way they, mess with you. But when it comes to like surgeries and things like that, I mean, my father had a bypass done on his heart. They flew him from the hospital to Philadelphia, where he could get, where I forget what Hahnemann, whatever hospital it is, it's great for heart surgery. By the time I found out and was even en route to the hospital, they had already gone in through his leg, put a stent into his heart, and then they had a sandbag on his leg and said, look, he could go home right now, but because of where they went in on his leg, the possibility of bleeding out if it doesn't coagulate and heal properly, that's the only reason he had to stay in the hospital. And imagine that. You have a heart attack, they put a stent in, and you could literally leave the hospital an hour later, but they only keep you because of the incision they made in your leg. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like medical technology has definitely improved a lot. Because like cause I come from a family of diabetics, and even when I was younger, like everyone had to like stick their fingers. But now they have like continuous glucose monitors where you just like wear a sensor.
Yep.
And sends a reading to your phone every 5 minutes. I know because before I started KALM, I actually worked at a company that manufactured continuous glucose monitors. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And even with the knee surgery, like on the day of, I couldn't like really walk. But then the next morning when I woke up, I was able to walk. I'm like, what the heck? It's been like less than 24 hours. I'm limping a bit, and it's definitely like a bit painful, not too bad. But I'm like, the fact that I can walk 24 hours after knee surgery is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. And you think back, like I on my hand, if you see on my hand here, I have like this finger doesn't close. I broke so this knuckle isn't there anymore. So when I was in the military, I was involved in a fire. There was a fire in a building, and I was stuck in there, and it was a piece of machinery that was basically blowing flaming oil right over my head. And there was the fire extinguisher. It has this little tiny hammer that says like break glass. Well, it wasn't breaking the glass, so I punched it. I punched through the glass. I grabbed the extinguisher. I got as much as I could to get me out of the fire. And outside, and when I went outside, I went to wait my brow, and my finger poked me in the eye. But there was no technology back then. Like I know today this would be fine, but back then it was like throw some mud on it and wrap it up, and that was about what I got out of it. But yeah, technology. Yeah, technology is crazy. It's amazing what it can do now. Look at Elon Musk with this thing that they put, in people's heads that are helping them walk, and paraplegics are getting feeling back because of it. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see where things are going to be in 10, 20 years. Really quick, Ray, do I have like an echo or anything like that on your end?
No. Do I have one on yours? I should. I put my earplug in, so I'm good now.
No, you sounds pristine. Well, I love starting the podcast in the midst of a conversation because I think it's always super interesting. But Ray, you just gave us a tiny sliver of background on who you are. But can you give the audience a bit more of a background on who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah, well, for years I served in the United States military. I was with the 3rd Ranger Battalion in Fort Benning, Georgia. We were Army Rangers. We were Special Operations Forces. I was a Ranger when Rangers were Rangers. We wore black berets. Then years when I got out, the military started getting a little soft, and they said that black berets were too intimidating. So they changed them. So luckily for me, I wasn't there because that wouldn't have happened. But I went through a lot of like combat situations, things of that nature in my life. I got out of the military, and I became a Hollywood kind of guy. I always wanted to be a writer. I did stunt work for a lot of big movies. If you look my name up online, you'll see a lot of stuff I've done. I worked on a lot of movies. I helped produce movies. Mainly, I became what's called a script doctor, and I would doctor scripts for a lot of big movies, big TV shows, things of that nature. And that was kind of my go-to. And now I operate a theater, which is a music venue that holds about 700 people. And next door to it, I have a bar, and it's just kind of like bar food kind of club that's attached to the theater. So it's a smaller venue above the big venue, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm 58 years old now. I'm getting a little bit older, and I wanted something to retire on, and that's kind of where I am. but I still, because of, my military background stuff, I still suffer, from PTSD and stuff. More, they call it TBI now. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Some years back, not long ago, the VA and the military decided that there were other things possibly wrong, things that they refused to accept. Let's just say for years, and they call it a traumatic brain injury. And it comes from a lot of bombs going off, weapons in your hands all the time, getting in a firefight, not being able to get earplugs in fast enough, because that was always the thing. Well, you had earplugs. Well, bullets are flying over my head. It's a little hard to say, oh, wait a minute, let me put my earplugs in before I shoot back. Okay. But it became a thing. And then, even leaving earplugs in for a long amount of time, you get that. It's almost like an underwater, like weird feeling you get in your head. So they come out with this thing called TBI, they're calling it now. And that has a lot to do with like memory losses and things like that. And, for a lot of soldiers, it's tough to deal with. And for me, it's been something that's not been hard to deal with. I had a former girlfriend. We broke up about a year ago. And the last time I really had a PTSD kind of attack, you might say, and it was really having the feelings, I had her, and she was a wonderful person, and she helped me through it, and it was wonderful. And this time, this year, actually, right after the Memorial Day, one of the last team members that I still contact, we kept contact basically now messenger, as opposed to phone calls, but he took his life. And when he took his life, he was talking about a lot of things we went through, a lot of things we did and stuff like that. And, it was starting to really get to him. He was having family issues. And when I realized I'm the last one of my team members alive, and out of those team members, 3 of them took their own lives. So suicide among, military is very high, and people don't realize that. There's only a small portion of, the population of the United States that are even in the military. I forget what it was. I was very surprised. It was like, I think 2, 3, 4%, very small percentage have ever been in the military and served. And to think that the suicide rate is so high amongst those people that have served our country, and me now knowing 3 of my former team members that have now taken their life, and me being the last one saying, well, I didn't die in battle, I didn't die from suicide, why am I here? You start questioning things, and it does. It gets your brain, just how the human brain, it thinks, and it starts going off on its own, and again, you got the VA. Oh, take this drug, take that drug, try this. I don't like to take drugs like that. I don't like to be out of my head. I own a bar. I don't even drink alcohol. It's one of those things where I was personally trying to find something that could help. The PTSD was here. Casey, my ex-girlfriend, was not here. I have 3 beautiful Greyhound dogs. They were here for me. They gave me comfort and security. I feel comfortable around them. But I was still having night terrors again, which I hadn't had in a very long time. I don't know if you're familiar with night terrors or if you've ever had anything like that, but you wake up almost not being able to breathe because you feel like you've been shot, killed, and or drowned or something in your dreams. And it's usually something that relates, for me, it always kind of relates back to military. It always ends up being some kind of military dream. And I wake up and I'm like, and then you just can't sleep at that point. I was trying to find something, and that's when I found basically you. I think what you did was a wonderful thing. I know it's a newer company, but I have tried everything, and I'm telling you from somebody, and we spoke about this via text, and I'm so glad I finally get to see you and meet you. But you did a good thing. You did a good thing because it works. I'm actually sleeping again, fine. I'm getting through the night sleeping, which was a very hard thing. It was hard just to fall asleep. So I feel like now I'm doing, and I just got to tell you, I love what you did. I love everything you did with this brand. If I get it up there so people can see it in the camera, everything. This is what makes you feel like people care about you. You can buy anything, and most of your stuff comes in like here on my desk. I have my dog medicine. You get a bottle. You know what I mean? And it's a little supplement in a pill, and it's like, hey, take this. It's going to make you feel better. I love the the word calm. Honestly, the bonsai tree makes me feel calm. It makes me feel like, I don't know. There's something about a bonsai tree. It's just, it's like there's comfort and relaxation and beauty. I had a bonsai tree once. I used to clip it, and it would give you a feeling of calm. And I saw that. I thought that was cool. But then I got the box, and it's got this magnetic opening. You know what I mean? It's got my name right here. You know what I mean? Comes with everything nice, beautifully. This is somebody who cares about not just the product, but how the person who gets it feels. So when you hold it in your hand, and I'm like, wow, I mean, it's like when you open an iPhone and you're like, oh, the box is so cool and this and that. Here's my iPhone. You feel that way because you're presented with something that shows you that company cares. They didn't just throw it in the bottle and say, here, take this, man, let me make some money. This packaging isn't cheap. This is something that sells to me that you care about me, that you cared to put your name or my name on this product and say, hey, Ray, this one's just for you, basically, So I started taking it. It's been about a month now. I'm going on, my second. I'm literally about to order another one. And I will tell you, I've only been doing one a day. I haven't needed to go to two a day. One a day is really helping me. I find a comp before I go to meetings, like with the city, where I know it's going to be like, owning a facility in the city. I deal a lot with the city, and I know it's going to be one of those meetings. I went to one the other day. I did my little scoop, swished it around in my mouth, and I was probably about 10 minutes away. I went to the meeting, and it hadn't, really taken effect. I'm in the meeting. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. It's just because of anxiety, And one of my friends is sitting next to me. He's in the meeting with me. And I'm like, dude, I got to get up. Like, I can't sit here. I got to do something. And all of a sudden, this calm came over me. It's like all of a sudden, all right, here it is. It's starting to work now. No problem. Got right through the meeting with no problem. And I love it. I don't know what all I can do, James. All I can do is thank you for giving, an old soldier something that's helping him, like a beautiful girlfriend did at one point. You know what I mean? You're giving me comfort. You're giving me something that's not a pharmaceutical per se. You know what I mean? And I don't know how other people feel or whatever else feedback you've gotten, but if there's a soldier out there and you're contemplating suicide and your mind's not working, and it even says, it's funny because it says mind hack on it, which I thought was great. It literally says mind hack. And I'm like, it kind of is a mind hack, but try something else, don't give in to those feelings, and don't give in to those thoughts. Try and find a way. And I think I honestly, at this point in time, I think I might have found the way to just calm my mind, and calm my body and stop with these, James, it's crazy thoughts. You know what I mean? Like nothing's going to happen to me in the meeting in the city. You know what I mean? The city is behind me 100%. We're developing this. We're working together. If anyone helps me, it's the city. But somehow, why am I nervous? I'm not going in there asking for anything. I didn't do anything wrong. We're just talking about how do we better the theater and get more people and marketing ideas. But I'm sweating. Why? Again, it's your body. It's your mind. You know how it is. Your mind is a very powerful thing. And it can make you feel different ways. It can make you think different ways. And sometimes it's hard to fight. And I believe that's why Moose was his name. Moose took his life. We'd been out of the military for years, but he never stopped talking about it. And all he would do was talk about it. And it was like his main conversation piece all the time. Oh, man, remember this, remember that. Oh, you used to say this to me. You used to tell me this. And I'm like, buddy, I'm still here. But, I honestly wish I could have found something like this prior to his passing and maybe have said, hey, man, try this, man. See if it'll calm you down a little bit, get your head back in the game. And I think you did that, James, and I owe you for that. And I thank you very much for that.
Yes, your story is just giving me goosebumps right now, Ray, and I truly appreciate you. Yeah, KALM was just made out of necessity because, my story is definitely nothing as intense as yours, but I too, because everyone who struggles with mental health, no one wants to stay in that spot. They're always trying to get out of it, right? I've cycled through the hundreds of supplements, everything on the first 10 pages of Amazon. I cycled through the meds. I really hated, I hated the brain zaps and just feeling like a zombie. And this was just something that I wish I had during my darkest time. And I created it because this is something that I personally take. and I'm just sharing it with the world because it works for me, and I'm hoping that it works for someone else out there as well. And it's definitely stories like this that push me forward to continue to do what I do and just do my best to help as many people as possible.
My
And
hopes are you keep going. I just want to see your business do better. I want to see it grow because you truly did, like you just said, not feeling like a zombie, not feeling overwhelmed or whatever. And it really does. And it's just such a simple base of a hemp product that I don't know what the strain is, or I don't know anything about the hemp world, but whatever you found works. And it works in this. I don't know if people have seen it, but this tiny little spoon. Like this much of this product. And, I'll be honest, I watched your video prior to taking it. And, you're like, oh, you could mix it with yogurt. You could do this. It's not so bad. You put it on your tongue, you swish it around your mouth, you take it down. It's not bad. I guess being a military guy, I've eaten some really crappy stuff in my life. So nothing really is bad. I could see, somebody that, has grown up on caviar and the finer shrimps of the world or whatever, that might go, oh, I need to put this in yogurt. It's not that bad at all, honestly. It's not, and it's simple to take. It's easy to take, and I have a little reminder on my phone every morning. Hey, don't forget to take your KALM now. You should come out with an app, your KALM app. Hey, take your KALM today. but you're right.
Yeah. It's just like a simple notification. Hey, don't forget to take your scoop today. Like click here.
Yep. Scoops up. Yeah, scoops are ready.
Yeah. Do you what made you want to join the military? I just want to take us. I'll
be honest with you. I grew up in a family people think that's the other thing. Like people look at me right now, and they think, oh, Ray's so successful. He's doing. Ray's not. Ray's broke. Ray's in business. And because you started a business, it's very costly to get into the business. When you're in a business like mine, where you're trying to get people to, pay for their free time to come see a concert. Like I have free time. Well, give me $20. Let me have some music on stage for you to see. It's a tough racket, but I didn't always have money. And growing up, we were poor. My sister actually, speaking of Elon's product we had talked about earlier, she was born with spina bifida. She never walked a day in her life. God rest her soul. She passed away in 2005, unrelated to her birth injury, something totally different. But she, my family had to take care of her for a long time. I wasn't with my family when she was born. I was shipped off back to New York, where I was born originally. I'm in New Jersey now, and to live with aunts until they could figure my sister's situation out. We didn't have a lot of money. We lived in a trailer park. With my father had a construction company, very small. He was starting it at the time, and he was hired to build this, the roads and stuff for these trailer parks, and so we lived there too. And we lived in the only pink trailer. I can remember my father in the early mornings in the winter with the hair dryer trying to warm up the door so he could get out of the door because the door would freeze shut. And I used to think, wow, if this catches on fire, we're screwed. We ain't getting out that door. But we, that's what it is. So I grew up with really no money. And then when my father's construction company started to do better, my family got a house. We still didn't have we weren't rich by any means. And, my sister still had to be taken care of. So I wanted to go to college. My father did 3 tours in Vietnam. He was a military guy. 2 of my brothers went in the military. Both of them kind of got the ixnay. One with a knee injury, and the other one, I don't remember what happened to him in basic training. They never made it through basic training. But I wanted college money. I wanted to be a writer. That's what I've always wanted to do. To give you real quick, I just take it back for a second. They filmed a movie called Eddie and the Cruisers at my high school. If you go back, it was a movie in the 80s. Great movie if you watch it. It was big at the time. There was a #1 hit song on the radio. Well, I got a very small bit in that movie, kind of like it's being filmed in my and big trucks and big cameras and all this stuff is going on. I got this little tiny part as a student. I had one line, and it just I laid with Tom Berenger on the lawn, just talking. I'm like, here I'm talking with a movie star, guy nominated for an Oscar and all this, and it made me always want to do that. But I wasn't that guy that wanted to be in front of the camera. I really liked making it and being, and that's what I wanted to do. So my only option was to go in the military under the GI Bill and try and get some college money. And I ended up going to NYU. I got my Ranger. I was in the Writers Guild for many years. That's a long story I won't get into, but why I'm out of that, a lot of dirty people in that industry. But it's something that I wanted to do, and I had to find a way to do it, and the military was it. Unlike my brothers, I stayed in. I became an Army Airborne Ranger. I volunteered to be a Ranger for the Special Operations Forces. I went through, airborne school, air assault school. I went through. You want to talk about? And it's funny because one of the recurring, almost like a nightmare. They call them night terrors, but one of the things I went through a thing called SEER school, which was Search, Evade, Rescue, and Escape school. And if you look it up, it's a mandatory thing. When you get your Ranger battalion, you get it because if you're captured by the enemy, this is what you do, and they literally torture you. I mean, honestly, they torture us, and if you don't want to be tortured anymore, you just tell them what they need to know, and you walk. I wasn't giving in. And I mean, they put me in a thing in the ground, and the water got up to the fact that it was literally at my nose, and my nose was through a little gate in a fence piece, trying to breathe. And I get these recurring nightmares more from SEER school than anything. It was probably one of the most mind painful thing. I don't know how you would say it, like something that really screwed with my mind more than anything in the world. But it was a lot. But I didn't have any other. I was not going to college. I was going to be either working for my dad's construction company or digging ditches somewhere because, it's what do you do, And that was in 1985. So I was trying to figure out what to do in my life, and so I didn't have a choice. But I became this gung ho guy, and I swore I was going to work hard and do what I wanted, and I did that, and I got to that pinnacle. I got to the pinnacle and found out it wasn't the pinnacle I thought it was going to be. But now here I am, still, after COVID, things have not been good. Another reason for your mind to wander and think the worst, I was with this wonderful girl for about 5 years, and it's going literally on a year now that we've broken up. I see her online with another guy, and it's just heartbreaking. And that's another thing that, is gets you and hurts you on the inside, get your mind thinking weird ways. But I feel like this was a product finally that really helped, and I appreciate that so much. But yeah, that's kind of my story, to be honest with you, from the military. It was all for college money,
Yeah. I feel like it's so messed up, like that they can, because it's not even, it's the training that's causing the night terrors or just kind of like that PTSD.
Yeah.
Are they taking any like accountability for that? Like how have they helped you since you've left the military?
Not really. No. I will tell you one of the things I feel, and this is just me as a person, and people say it to me all the time. I see guys come in the bar, and they're literally, there's nothing wrong with them at all, but they're getting all kinds of VA this and VA that, and I never took advantage of it. And the reason why, because I didn't feel like I needed it. I felt like I saw guys lose their limbs. I saw guys with literally a friend of mine, one literally left with one arm. I've seen people that need it more than me. I've had friends that have died as their families are getting it, and I always felt that's just me as a person. I'm not that kind of guy, And for years I didn't. And then when I kind of got into business for myself, running things, I'm like, well, I do have the health benefits from the VA that I could still utilize. So I'm like, I did give a lot of my time and a lot of my mind. So that's what I went. Now I have not tried to get any kind of monies like a lot of people do. I feel like there's others that deserve it more than me. That really, I might have been through some stuff, but I can still work. I can still work the day to day. I can do things. Now, if it was something that was debilitating where I couldn't work or do something, maybe I would be trying to get some type of help, but I haven't. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm about to use my VA home loan for the first time ever. I'm looking into buying a new home, and I get a 0% down and a lower financing as a bet. So and I bought homes prior to this, so I'm gonna try and use that. So
Nice, nice. Are there any lessons you've learned in the military that you apply to your everyday life now? Like let's say your business?
Discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline. And that's a thing. I feel like a lot of like I have a 19-year-old son, and I think had he had some like I was never that like my father was. So you understand where I came from too. My father's last years in the military, up to his retirement, was as a drill sergeant. So yeah, I had a drill sergeant for a dad. So I swore when I had children, I have two boys, that I would never be that kind of father. That's somewhat physical at times. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but also very demanding and very drill sergeant like life. So I feel like the discipline is something that my kids lack now. Not that I didn't try and help them,
Mhm.
but social media has changed the world in so many ways, and it's so influential in children's minds now. And I think it's a very scary thing. And now with AI coming in and not understanding where AI can take things, I just watched Tom Cruise's new movie, the Mission Impossible film, and it's literally, I don't know if you saw it, but it's about AI basically taking over, and taking over missile silos, and it's not something that couldn't happen, if
Yeah.
if this was allowed to continue. But it's also something that feeds the minds of our children and feeds the minds of weak minds, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I feel like the military gave me the ability to think on my own, look outside the box, and see reality. Because when you're on a battlefield, no matter what's coming through, the radio, no matter what's being yelled at you by anyone else, there's somebody on the other side that wants you dead. And that's just a bottom line. That's all they want. And in some countries that I've been in, like Mogadishu, things of that nature, they want your head on a stick. And that's not even a joke. That's literally what they want to do. They want to walk around town and show everybody what they did. And you need to be able to think for yourself. You don't need politicians telling you what to think. You don't need, this ridiculous media anymore. No matter what side you're on, man, it's just they're all, it's all about agendas and propaganda now, like it's never been before. And I feel like if you don't have that discipline and that understanding of reality that I feel comes from SEER school or being shot at, you just don't get it, and you're easily manipulated. And I think that's what the military gave me, like discipline and understanding of my surroundings.
Yeah, I've definitely social media, I feel like got launched. It got so big, and when it's only now that we're noticing on how detrimental it is, especially
Yes.
not even just kids. I feel like it's affecting like a lot of older people as well. But it's like it's big, and it's just that they don't notice that this constant dopamine burst that's making life feel duller, and it's making it hard to focus. It's probably what the reason why you're
Yes.
having difficult time sleeping, and it's just like uh, if I guess how can we teach discipline to like our if you can go back and teach discipline to your kids without being like the drill sergeant, what's one way you would do so?
Honestly, at this point in time, it was never hard. Like my oldest son, he works for Honda.
Mhm.
He's very up in Honda. He has a wonderful wife. He has two kids. He has a beautiful home. He got the discipline I gave him. Now my second son, he was 3 years old when I got divorced, so he was more around his mother, being very mothered more than fathered. And I feel like that broken home didn't help him, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of kids have broken homes now. Divorce rates are higher than they've ever been in our country. A lot of fatherless kids right out of the gate. I feel like a lot of young women are, meeting a guy they barely know. They haven't given themselves, time to know. Before you know it, they have a child, and then, all of a sudden they're not together anymore. Now there's this poor kid. I know, it's, again, owning a bar. I have several bartenders. They're single moms, and it's a shame because they're not ugly women. They're not bad, but they just got in with the wrong guy. You know how it is. Guys just say whatever you want to hear. But social media is another thing. These girls, they get on social media. They see other girls doing this, other girls doing. They all want the best life. They want this, they want that, and they don't realize half of them are faking it anyway. You and I know that.
Mhm.
But it's tough. I want to tell you a story real quick. And this is where I knew social media was bad. I remember Facebook came around. I mean, I've been around. My first computer was an Apple IIe that took a cassette tape. You put the cassette tape in, you'd hit play, and you go eat dinner, and you come back, and your game was loaded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took that long. So I lived through, AOL coming in, AIM, all that stuff, and it wasn't until Facebook where things started to change a little, and YouTube. I'll give YouTube that. But my youngest son, came to me, and I'm going to say he was maybe, I don't know how long TikTok's been around. Whenever TikTok first started coming out, and I don't TikTok, I don't do that. It's just not. I don't have time for it. Facebook and Instagram. I doom scroll on Instagram like there's no tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I go on X just to hear everybody argue with each other. But he said to me, and this is his exact words. He goes, I said, what's TikTok? I said, this sounds stupid. He goes, it's videos, And there was another video platform out at the time. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like little short videos. And I'm like, you already do that. You need another one? He goes, no, but this one, I put in what I like. It gives me more of what I like and things I'm going to like. So eventually my son went from, I don't know, animals falling downstairs thinking it was funny to all of a sudden liking whatever they want him to like. He forgot about the animals falling downstairs. Now he likes this artist or this particular mindset or this particular thing and this particular thing. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, that's funny because a lot of that's not real. You know what I mean? Like, that's not true. I mean, there's facts. If you look it up yourself, but he doesn't want to hear facts because TikTok told him it was this, and TikTok influencers told him this. And that became a problem. You're being influenced by someone that just has a bunch of followers because of whatever. He showed me these, and one of the most disturbing things I'd ever seen. He shows me these. He's watching them on the television. It was somebody following TikTok had a YouTube channel, and it was these three young girls. I'm going to say maybe from 6 to 12, three young girls, and they unbox. Have you ever saw the unboxing videos? So they open a game and then they all play it and everybody thinks it's cool. And he's watching the videos and I'm in the other room. I come in and he's still watching the channel with these girls. And the three girls are now in their underwear, jumping up and down on the bed, playing a game. And I'm like, son, what are you watching? He goes, oh, it's the so-and-so girls. I'm like, what? And I look and there's like 4.6 million views on this video. You go back to the video where they're playing with Legos, 100,000 views. So right there, it just tells you what's happening in our society. You're allowing things like this to get out to the crazies that are out there, and parents are making money off of it, and they don't even care what their kids are doing. They're making money. So my 6-year-old girl's jumping around in her underwear, so 3.7 million perverts can watch her. But hey, mommy got YouTube money. It's like the internet, and when as soon as that AOL disc first showed up, it was like the downfall, and it just keeps getting worse. Now look at AI. You can go on the X, any picture now that's on X. If you long hold that picture, allow it to open up and go down and hit make this live, it will literally immediately turn that into a live video of some sort from a photograph. Think of what that does now, I mean, you got a guy holding a microphone to somebody on the street, and now all of a sudden with AI, you could turn that into a gun. Oh my God, somebody was holding a gun on so-and-so. No, he wasn't. It was a microphone. But you and I don't know that.
Yeah.
We only know what we saw. So the reality I was speaking of earlier in that discipline, that's gone if you're locked into the internet because you don't know what reality is anymore. There's not a bullet flying by your head anymore. You're not in that. You're not smelling. There's a smell, James, I got to tell you. I go to the range and I get a hint of it. But there's just this smell of war. And it's that smell of gunpowder, like burning wood, burning plastics, things that I've never in my life had that smell. But when you get something close to it, it's just like it makes your mind just, go back. And you know how it is, you smell something, but there's nothing like, and I call it the smell of war, I forget what movie it is when he goes out and he goes, there's nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning, I get it, man. I get it. But you're right, man. The internet is just, God, talk about mind boggling. Think how many people's minds are being screwed up by that are probably worse than my PTSD. I mean, it's insanity.
And it's the worst. The worst part is that people don't know that it's damaged and it's accepted by society. So that's why
That's right.
It goes unchecked. It goes unchecked, and like,
that's right.
It's usually rapid evolution and rapid expansion is good, but then you also need like an equal opposite that's kind of making sure, like, because with internet, there's both the good and the bads that's going to happen,
Yes.
right? So we need someone to keep check of the bad, but right now, our technology can't keep up with keeping check of the bad, like all the fake AI deep fakes.
Yeah.
And like all this false information and things like that. But hopefully, as technology improves, all that can be taken care of too. But we'll just have to see, right?
That's our hope. That's our hope.
Yeah.
But again, without Instagram, I would have never found your product.
That's true.
So like you said, there are goods to it. There are goods because there are people out there, and I feel like you're somebody like me who you actually care about people. You know what I mean? You care because you're putting forth something. I care about people. I give go back to my ex-girlfriend. I wrote a song, like a country song for her, and it was just, I used AI for it too, believe it or not, to do the music, and it worked for Mama. It was absolutely amazing. But in the lyrics, it's like, we gave, a place for broken hearts to go to. We've had so many people that have come to the venue, and people that will come to every single show, regardless if it's a country artist, if it's a 70s disco or a hard rock. They come to every single show because the music is healing to them. It gives them someplace to go and just get enveloped by the music. If you get a chance, it's called the Landis Theater. Go online and look at our Instagram videos, and you'll see I've created, let's kind of like, they call it the mini sphere, where we surround you with video during a concert. So you feel like you're kind of part of it. It's really cool. And I try to have that immersive experience within the venue. And people love it. And I feel like one of the things that keeps me going, even though, you have low ticket sales and things of that nature, is knowing that there are certain people that we are helping. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. And that's what I want to keep doing. So, and I feel like you're that same person.
That's exactly the reason why I keep going with KALM, because it's like, KALM's not that big. It's like right now I'm getting, like, if calculate the number of hours I put in, and I haven't even taken any pay yet, other than like just paying my rent and things like that. But I get paid like $10 an hour.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But then the thing is, it's like when you send me that text message of like your success story, or I get that text message from the mother whose daughter was in depression for like 6 years, and for the first time she got a hug from the daughter and she seemed happier. It's like stories like that just keep me pushing forward. And because in the chaotic business world, right? It's like that's my light. Like this. Remember, this is the reason why I started all of this. So, would you say that's the reason why you went into the music side after the military, because you saw this potential for healing, or did it just happen coincidentally?
It kind of happened, and I didn't know it would be a healing thing until people came up to us. And I remember the first lady that made me realize it. Well, I would say two older ladies. One was a lady named Mary Ann, who was a volunteer at the theater. The place I had was originally built in 1939. So she came as a kid to movies there. So the place meant so much to her. And for us to be bringing it back to life and doing things was just, you could see the love in her heart. God bless her. She's in her 90s now. I literally just got a Facebook message from her the other day about how cute my dogs were. She's still kicking it. And I'm going to say she's like 95 now, maybe a little older. But right after COVID, we were only allowed to have a certain amount of people in the seats. It was like, you still had to have people, 5 feet apart and all that ridiculousness. And this one older woman came through with her mask on and tears in her eyes after she literally pouring down her face, and she said, "Thank you." She goes, "This is what I needed. I just needed to know that the world was going to be okay." And I think it was, I forget what show it was, but it was some kind of, a rock and roll show. But she was just so happy to be able to get out of her home and know that the music made her feel like it's going to be okay. And I thought, you know what? We're not doing such a bad thing here. We had another lady who moved to Atlantic City from where we are, which is about an hour away, 45 minutes, because of she wanted to be around music. And she moved back because of the music, was back here again. So it didn't come from the beginning, but when it came, I felt like it was an important part of us to keep pushing forward and moving forward in what we were doing. So yeah.
Are you in the theater right now?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great place. Like I said, we put a lot of money into it. The city has helped me a lot doing a lot of what I do. So, I'm going to keep pushing as long as I can, but it gets to a point like any business, you can only lose for so long, and, we have a great product too, but it's not something I can sell that's, going to help somebody, mentally, physically or whatever, but it can music wise, but you got to get them in, you got to get them back. And people just don't want it. I feel like since COVID, people just don't want to get out of their house anymore. Movie theaters. I mean, you don't have to. Again, I just watched Tom Cruise. The movie came out in theaters last week, and now it's in my home.
Yeah.
What's the point of going to a movie theater and having kids on their phone yapping and trapping in the back when you don't have to? So it's like the world is changing. It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm in a much tougher business.
It's changing, but it's like I feel like there's just something about being somewhere in person that has a different impact and like difference. And I think like we're starting to lose that feeling. Like when it's like it's like seeing a concert through like a YouTube, like watching it on YouTube versus being at the concert and getting that bass and hearing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like when the artist stops playing and then the crowd is just singing all together.
Yep.
There's like a different type of feeling. And for all of you guys listening, you guys live in Jersey, you should definitely go check out Ray's venue. I'll leave a link for all that down below.
Yeah.
But
you're right. It is. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
Yeah. Would you say like outside of KALM, and I think right now you have a passion with the music and the writing, and I think that's also like a huge factor when it comes to improving your mental health, just working towards something. That way you're just not overwhelmed with just like your thoughts, just having something that you could put your attention to really helps a lot. So those are two really big things that help with mental health. Or is there anything else you're practicing to keep yourself grounded, especially during like really tough moments?
Well, honestly, I've been trying. I've been trying to find it. Like I said, the thing that keeps me grounded the most is again I have 3 beautiful greyhounds. Okay. They're all sisters. They're all from the same litter. My ex and I rescued them together, and I have them, and they really do. They keep me grounded because they need my love, they need my caring, they need my they need somebody, and it takes you out of just being in your mind and being able to just run away and escape. You can't. You have these 3 beautiful animals that are you gave them a home. You owe them. They're now part of my life. So that's probably it. And then, like I said, I tried supplements. I tried this. I tried that, and most of it for me was just sleep. Anxiety and sleep. Like I would be at a show. So when I do a show downstairs, I have a sound guy. My good friend Steven, he does the lighting. Andy runs. I have a guy say I do all the videos. So when if you go on to our Instagram, I hope you do and take a look at what we do, and you see all the video on the screens and the walls. I'm doing that. And there are times when I'm in the middle of it and I just start to sweat. I start to get anxious. I can't breathe, and I'm like, it's just anxiety starts to build up, and I got to get out of there. And I don't know what, else to do besides try to breathe through your nose and out your mouth, And like you said, I've tried all kinds of stuff. You see things on the internet. Even when I saw your product, I was iffy. I was like, look, I'll give it a shot, see what happens. but it actually worked. And I felt comfortable with it. I didn't feel like it was anything that was, bad, any bad ingredients or things I couldn't name. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what a Yuko Schmagaduli is or whatever this kind of ingredient is and what I'm taking. It was a very simple ingredient. It was and again, easy to take, easy to deal with. So, and it worked. And that's, I think, the thing that the most important part about what you're doing is it works. And, I have a podcast that we do on Tuesdays. And, we have a couple sponsors, but what I would like to do, maybe, before we're done and everything, and maybe text back and forth with your permission, send me some stuff. I'd like to put you on as a free sponsor, just to, you don't have to pay me anything. I know you're building the brand, just to get it out there, and make KALM just a sponsor of, and maybe on your webpage say, hey, go see the Landis Theater or something, but we'll barter some advertising. But we have 16, a good 16,000 people up to a week that watch our podcast. So, and they're all over the country. We have a couple in Japan that watches every week. Yeah, they comment, and then I have a map and I can see like where they are, but it's really neat. But it's one of those things where, maybe we can get the word out and help you out in any way that we can, and not have to, cost you any money, because I think what you're giving is money enough, if that makes sense.
I'm all down for it. Definitely, we gotta help each other out, right?
Absolutely.
Let's go each other.
Yep.
Wait, I want to throw 3 speed round questions at you just to kind of throw you off your game. Okay, cool. Now, you said you love writing. What if you were a full-time writer? What type of genre do you think you will be writing for?
Honestly, that's tough, because I would say like action thriller, because screenwriting is different than writing. You got to remember, you're writing visually. You're not writing like, not like reading a Harry Potter book where you're imagining the words. Stephen King, who I'm not particularly care for him lately, but years ago I did something with him, and I remember we were at the Writers Guild Awards, and he said to me, what you do, I find almost impossible. And this is one of the biggest writers in the world, Stephen King. He said, I have 100 pages to tell you what a tree looks like. I can describe every branch, every nuance of that tree. He goes, but you have about a minute to tell me about that tree in a film visually. So you have to be able to show me visually within a matter of minutes, if you take that long, to what I can explain in detail under hundreds of pages. And as a visual medium, it's hard. But action is so much fun, because you're not writing all that crappy dialogue. You're explaining how things are going to happen. And then when you see it storyboarded, and then you see it come to life, you're like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever, man. That was in my head, and it's now on that screen, and it's the coolest thing you could ever imagine. I've taken a couple movies. I won't mention the movies, but I worked on one film where it was a whole opening skiing thing. And the film had really nothing to do with skiing. It was just something that one of the characters was involved with. And it was this huge, like almost 30-minute thing. And I rewrote it for them as a script doctor, and I squished it down to probably about maybe 5 minutes. And it became so much more impactful in the film. And I was like, if you would have went on for 30, 40 minutes, people would have forgot about this character, and they would have thought it was about a skiing movie, and it had nothing to do with skiing. But it was kind of cool. But that's what I think is fascinating. So action, anything action, I love action.
And you had some like Michael Bay explosions, like the Mission Impossible explosions that happen. Yeah,
Michael Bay is
awesome.
nothing but explosions.
Yeah. Let's say when you're not working, and when you're not working, what do you like to do on your off time?
Well, I like I like to box. I like to work out. I've taken up reading again, actual books in your hand, a lot. And it's funny because I do watch probably too much television. Like I watch movies, things like that. I don't watch like TV shows as much. I binge watch stuff. I put it on in the background. But yeah, I read a lot. I do a lot of fitness lately. But another thing that's really weird, and I got one right next to me, is I know you can say I do Legos. There's a Lego Batman car. It helps. Another thing I have that it happened in the movie industry is I got Lyme disease probably about 15 years or more ago, and it wasn't diagnosed properly. So I get like this almost arthritic cramping in my hands and my neck really bad sometimes. And actually building the Legos is actually therapeutic for me. When I'm done making, I can feel my hands don't feel as bad. I've tried, the muscle builders. I've tried like special gloves. But honestly, just sitting there clicking the Legos, again, it keeps your mind somewhere, but it also it exercises my fingers. So that's kind of, I know it's weird, but yeah, I Legos. I found that to be, and that came from the VA. The lady said, "Have you tried like building things?" And I did. I was trying models with like screws and stuff. It was just too much, trying to get little screws. But the Legos just you click them in place, and when you're done, you got a cool Batman car. So it's kind of neat.
We should start a petition to have Legos covered by the VA.
Yes, yes. Could you imagine you go to the VA to pick up your Lego set?
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Sick. Well, we got the first two signatures here. Final questions. If you can go back to your younger self and give younger Ray one piece of advice, what would the advice be, and how old would you be?
Wow, that's strange because you always think about that. You think about, man, if I could just go back and know everything I know now, everything would be so much different. I think I would tell myself to. I don't know. It's tough because I think as life went on, to not let your emotions and insecurities that are developed outside of you, by external means and things like that affect you. And don't let them cause you to be something different than you are. You know what I mean? A lot of that comes nowadays. You'll see that on the internet. Again, we were talking about that earlier where, a girl will look at, other girls and think, oh, I'm not as pretty, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'm like that. Or, overweight girls will go on the internet and go, oh, it's great to be overweight, when we know it's not. It's not healthy. It's not, you're letting the insecurities and you're letting the internet and things tell you who you are, what you are, where you're going. And insecurities, they come from childhood. You have childhood trauma or things that have happened or you've seen, and they carry through. And I've learned, honestly, in probably the last year, I've learned a lot about myself, let's just say, through some therapy and things like that. And for the first time, admitting things, and I think that if I could go back and just be able to have controlled, and not let the insecurities, drive me, and almost blindly drive you, because again, having like TBI and limited memory, you'll do something and somebody will find, a problem with that, and you don't really remember doing it. And you don't remember because the insecurities are driving you, number one. Number two, because you just don't remember, But yeah, I would probably tell myself to, I would have worked more, I think, and I find it hard to do now because I've tried it, maybe more of a mindfulness, like whether it be, I don't know, yoga, but some type of more mindfulness things, where you're allowing, what's his name? I got one of his books up here somewhere. I can't think of his name right now. Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you're familiar with Eckhart Tolle, but I've read some of his books, and they give you the power of now, and he tells you, and this is something I would have told myself, you have right now, no matter what you did, no matter this coffee I made that's cold now, it's cold, it's done, it's finished with. But right now, in this second, I can still decide to take a sip of it. I could warm it up. I have control of what's happening now. I can't control what happened to this coffee while we've been on. I can't control what happens when you and I stop talking here and I move forward. I might trip over this table and you'll be like, holy shit, I found out Ray died. He tripped over a table. We don't know. But what we do know is this, where we are right now is what we have. And that's all we have is the now. And I think I would have told myself that, I wish I understood that when I was first in the military. I mean, I made it through a lot of battles. I made it through a lot of crazy, crazy stuff. But I think if I was more mindful of myself and my own mind, and not, allowing outside things to come in, but I knew about myself and I understood about right now, I think I would be a different person. I know I would be. I would know. And I think if you get a chance, Eckhart Tolle, read some of his books. The Power of Now, I believe, is the name. I have one here. I would pull it out and show you, but I don't know where it is. But I have a few of his books. But the audio book of him, I'll listen to that too, because I read the book twice and I even still listen to it because it's the lessons that he teaches you. And it's really cool. Mindfulness, I would say, would be the thing that I would tell myself. Be more mindful of what you're doing, what you're thinking, and how you're acting as a human being, especially towards others. Because I will tell you, even though you feel like something isn't such a big deal, even the littlest thing could be a really big deal to someone you really care and love, and they don't see it the way you see it. And if you're mindful of that, you understand that more, that, you have to understand other people see things differently. Even if you see it as a minute thing, you got to respect what they see as well.
I have to have a follow-up question to that. How would you, so for someone who just wants to like practice mindfulness and wants to distance their thoughts from themselves, what's actionable step for them to maybe give a try?
Well, what I've done lately is meditation is something. Again, reading a book and understanding something by somebody who is honestly understands the human mind a little bit, to give you an insight of it. He's not trying to sell you on something. Like, you're not reading a book on Scientology. You know what I mean? He's not trying to sell you on anything, but the simple fact that you are in control of your mind is not in control of you. And that's where PTSD comes in. That's why I'm using that now, because that's part of PTSD. Your mind is now controlling you. You're not controlling your mind. And I've been working very hard the last year to really find that center and allow my mind to tell my body what to do, and not my body to tell my mind what to do. And honestly, again, I go back to it. I know I feel like I'm selling you, but the calm helps, because it allows you. It's another way to get your mind to shut up, and stop saying, oh, this is going to happen, or this is bad, or that's bad, or this is going to happen, or my ex is doing this now. She's with another man. Oh my God, now my life. Well, I'm never going to, you get all these things, but, and you try to meditate, you try to find that center, but sometimes you need a little help. And I don't want that help to be some pharmaceutical, I want it to be natural. And what you've given me is a natural choice. I want nothing but for your product to become bigger. I want you to say that $10 an hour, went to $10,000 an hour, and you want to hire me. So and I'll take the 10 an hour.
Well, it's going to happen. I know that no matter what, I'm not going to stop. Like, that's so like, if I have to be at this $10 an hour for the next 5 years, so be it. But I'm not going to stop.
that means a lot to me. So that means that I know I'm in good hands for a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll text you a picture. Like, I came back from surgery and I had like lunch, and then like I went straight to work, and my mom, who drove me to the surgery center, she took a picture. She's like, who the heck starts working like 2 hours after surgery? And I'm like, still loopy. And I'm like, I got the response to all these people, but I'm not going to stop, Ray. I can promise you that.
Don't. And James, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, literally, whatever I can possibly ever do to help you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ray, well, you shared one of literally the coolest stories I've ever heard, and you're doing some really cool stuff right now. If someone listening wants to learn more about you, your venue, or if they want to buy some tickets, where can they go? I'm also going to leave the links down below, but where can they go?
Yeah. Everything is on the Landis, so it's TheLandis, thelandis.com. And that basically takes you to our website. You can get to our Facebooks and our Instagrams from there and all that stuff. And basically me, you'll find me on there, and you can go to my Facebook or whatever. But that's the best way. It's thelandis.com. And that's kind of everything that's out there right now on me. I mean, you search my name, you'll see a lot of movies I worked on, things of that nature. But that stuff is kind of that's in the past type of stuff. Again, I'm in the now. This is where I am, and we're trying to move forward with this business and hopefully make it something I can retire. I walk away from and give it to somebody else and go, live in a beautiful cabin, somewhere with my dogs, or even honestly, I had somebody else that wanted at one point like to get in a RV of some sort, a smaller thing, and travel and live out of that for a while, and maybe I can work for you and push KALM around. That can be my on the road job.
You got a lot of options. Yeah, that would be super sick. Just like traveling, road tripping with your RV and your 3 Greyhounds, and
I would
dropping
love
off KALM here and there.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I'd be that delivery
Yeah,
guy heading out west. But
Yes,
again,
sir.
James,
Yes, sir. Well, actually,
before we finish, I want to thank you
Yeah.
again for what you're doing, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I think you've come up with a fantastic product. The strain of that you're using, whatever this is in this box, it really helps. It really works, and I would tell everybody, please try it and stay personable. Stay the person you are. Keep the packaging personable. Because I think that's one of the things that I love the most is I felt like when just getting it in the mail, opening it for the first time, I felt like they cared about me. Again, my name was in it, and it said I think it even says family on it. Yeah, VIP KALM family. I mean, come on, you started from then, and then when it worked, you're like, wow, I feel like maybe I am part of this family. So.
You are part of the family, Ray, and I appreciate you for sharing such a amazing story. It's literally stories like this that fuel me because you know how tough it is. Like every day you're wondering, like, if am I even doing the right thing? Like, is my business gonna fail? And like, it's like, am I good enough to even run a business? Like, there's all these nasty thoughts. But it's literally stories like this that fuel me to do what I do. So I truly appreciate you, Ray.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Like I said, anything need, let me know. And again, let's get some artwork over and stuff, and let's start promoting you on our show on Tuesdays. And that's another thing on our Facebook, our YouTube, the Landis Theater YouTube, and so every Tuesday from 7 to 9 we do a live podcast. More people watch it throughout the week than watch it live. But and we highlight the bands that played the previous weekend and the bands coming up. We talk a little bit of sports and other stupid stuff, but I mean, we're just a bunch of idiots. We curse sometimes, so if you don't mind cursing, it is what it is. But it's fun, and we do. But I would love to be able to spread your word as well. So
let's do it. Well, if you guys want to go check out Ray's venue and this podcast, I'll leave a link down below. If you guys have any questions for Ray, leave a comment and I'll do my best to get some answers for you guys. I thank you all for taking the time to watch and have a healthy and happy day. Peace.
Take care, guys.